Broughan, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Cathaoirleach. I think your decision, Minister, to phase out the all-in flat rate charging system for household waste from this autumn is typical of several of the half-baked policy decisions of this government when it's bothered to make a decision at all. The Minister well knows that the household waste market is a cartel and that households are at the mercy of a few large operators, some of them of course foreign-based, in this largely dysfunctional market. When the last government proposed a similar new crazy pricing regime in Statutory Instrument 24 of 2016, it was beyond belief that there was no maximum lift and flat charges in Article 20 of that document. Now, after Minister Coveney's continued inaction to address price gouging by waste companies, you, Minister, are announcing so-called incentivised pricing options, which include a range of standing charges per lift and per weight charges. Once again, there is no plan to address market failure of any description or even to help change consumer behaviours. The reality is, of course, Cathaoirleach, that Irish householders have really tried hard to address the aims of the EU's waste hierarchy and directives, including prevention, reuse and recycling. It's notable, and I know that with the help of a 4-year derogation, we did achieve the first two landfill targets of the Landfill Directive, 1994, to 75% and 50% reductions on 1995 levels. And preliminary data, Minister, seems to indicate we've also met the third target of 35% reduction in 1995 levels by July 2016. And while landfill capacity has been said to be very low, I heard one of your colleagues saying this again this evening, we of course recently fired up this massive incinerator in the Poolbeg Peninsula, and there was question marks about whether there would be enough waste for it, in fact, only a few months ago. Constituents often complain that business needs to do much more to reduce the endless packaging of modern retail products, including food, of course, and groceries. And why haven't you, Minister, why haven't you taken a single initiative in that regard? Why isn't the polluter pays principle being applied all across business, including our ubiquitous food takeaways and coffee shops? And I note the bill introduced by our Green colleague in relation to coffee shop plastic cups. In the 1990s, as chairperson of the Civic Alliance, the Rainbow Alliance in Dublin City Council, I strongly opposed the privatisation of household waste. Colleagues and I saw the introduction of waste charges by City Manager John Fitzgerald as a Trojan horse for the full privatisation of household waste. We also feared that price gouging, unaccountability of waste companies, non-existent regulation and all the market chaos which we have experienced and which the Minister is threatening to inflict on us again, that has all happened. And none of the promises of the City Managers like John Fitzgerald and John Tierney were upheld, and ordinary households have paid so dearly for that. Former Minister Kelly told us in September 2015 that the waste management companies were, and I quote, in the last chance saloon, and that a race to the bottom in waste collection has to end. But nothing has happened, and we got, this time last year, we had threats of price rises, charges of up to 140%, standing charges, and rises of 200 to 400% by companies like Greyhound and Thornton. The last and previous Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil governments, they totally failed to implement the promised competitive tendering by district, by the way, or indeed promised industry regulation by the city and county councils. And the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has likewise done nothing to give us a paper, for example, even on the economics of household waste pricing. And the Commission for Energy Regulation is supposed to become, just last point, the Commission for Regulation of Utilities. You could simply, Minister, have added waste management to that and brought in some proper regulation. My own personal belief, strong belief, is that household waste management, it should be renationalised, perhaps a single publicly owned operation reporting to, for example, our four Dublin counties, and on a regional basis in other counties. Waste management is a critical issue for householders, and I believe should be included in the very high local property taxes which we pay and which has become a significant local tax. So, Minister, once again, I think you're threatening to start another Bintifada. Thanks, Can.